Hey, Kevin Coy here from Kevin's Micro Homestead and a self-reliantlife.com, and I just thought I would have a little patio side chat here, I guess, because I've had a bunch of questions posed on the site, on YouTube and on the blogs, and so I just thought I'd address some of those for you. I've had some sort of, snarky negative comments and some other, just questions that people are curious about on how to finance this whole build your own house thing. And so I thought I'd try to shed some light on that, give you some creative options to make this happen for yourself if that's what you want to do. So one of the things that I have heard several times is must be easy to build a house for cash when you've sold another house and you take that equity and you've got, the money to do it. And I would say, yes, it is. But here's the funny thing. I built that house for cash too, and I didn't have a house to sell when I did that. So the house we sold a year and a half ago, was a house we built for cash 15, 20 years ago, somewhere in that, because it took us a couple of years to do it. And at the time, my wife and I both worked full-time and part-time, doing some side hustle type things for extra cash. We had 4 children that were all in elementary school at the time when we were building that house. And at one point, we were just not quite pulling it together, and so we wound up moving in with my parents when I was in my 30s. And we spent a year, 13 months actually, sleeping on the floor in one bedroom, all 6 of us, while my wife and I both worked full time to amass the savings that we needed to finish building the shell of the house so we could move back into it. So, and we didn't have a mattress on the floor either. I'm talking laid on the carpet with blankets and pillows for a year, a little over a year, and we saved up that money. And we were paying to get that house shelled in, and so that when we moved back into it, we could start living in it unfinished. And then as we had time over the next couple of years, we would put money together, go down and buy building materials to continue to finish that house in until we got it done. So there was no mortgage on that house, and that house we built for cash about 17 years ago is what it was, 18 years ago. And so then we sold that house a year and a half ago, and yes, some of the equity from that sale is funding this project. But I want you to know that if you want to do this and you don't have a house to sell, you can do that, because we did it the first time too. And so the thing to do is to get out from under the cost of living that you're currently in and be able to use that money to start paying to fund this project if you want to do this. And so the easy way to do that is maybe you can move in with somebody and split housing, or they'll allow you to stay, like we were fortunate enough to do that with my parents. The other thing you can do is get yourself a little RV and start living in that. Pay cash for a small used RV. Now, we've got one over here, and I've had people comment, well, that's, pretty fancy living. It's a big fifth wheel, and it's, it's 34 feet long, and it's got the tip outs, and it's, that wasn't any big deal. But I bought that used. It was, how many years old?
It's 14.
14 years old when we bought it. So I didn't pay, brand new, you could pay upwards of $50,000 for something like that, which I'm not going to do, because I'm paying less than that to build my house. So why would I spend that much money on an RV as a temporary living space while I'm building my home, which is only going to cost me about 30 grand. And so now there's variables, and I don't include the price of the property that this is on, because that's going to, you can't even put a number to that. It could be $4,000 or $5,000, or it could be $40,000 or $50,000, or it could be over 100 grand. It depends on what you want to spend on a piece of property. So there's a lot of play in there. And so I'm not including that, just the price of the house costs, the materials and labor that I have to pay out to build this house. We're in that thing about 30 grand. Now, you can spend less than that, or you can spend more than that. So that's just a number that I'm giving you, so you've got some perspective on this. You could certainly spend more on higher finished materials. We could spend less than that on lower finished materials for siding and the kitchen and different things that we could do that would cost more or less. You could also spend more because you want to pay somebody else to do it for you instead of doing it yourself. So you've got labor and profit to that person for the things that you may have them do for you rather than do it yourself. I highly suggest you do as much of this as you can, and or hire somebody to work with you on a project and have you be some of the labor with them so that you can cut those costs. Now here's the drastic the difference here. When we sold our other home and moved here, we cut our cost of living, housing, by over 1,200%. And believe me, we ran those numbers more than once because that seemed pretty far-fetched, but we're down to a fraction of what our former cost of living was. We did have a small mortgage on our other house, not as big as some people would have had on a house that size, because I built a lot of that house myself without paying for bank loans. But you can drop that, so our utility costs is gone down to almost nothing. Our insurance, our taxes for the property, we're not paying any interest, and we don't have any mortgage and loans and things to do this project. So if you can move into a little RV and onto your lot and live in that while you're building your house, that will allow you funding that you're already spending on housing somewhere else. Maybe you're renting a house or an apartment, or you're maybe buying something, you have a mortgage. Get rid of that, use that money to fund building your own house. And that's really the point here, is to get out from under all that. And so what's that allow us to do? Screw off. We can play. We're beach bums. I'm building this house. I'm not in a big hurry. Somebody made a comment the other day, you haven't gotten any farther than that. I'm like, I'm not in a hurry. I mean, I am and I'm not. I'm comfortable in the RV that we're in, maybe too comfortable. That might be part of the problem. But we also have a tremendous amount of free time that we can do whatever we want. So if we don't feel like working on the house today and we want to go to the beach, or we just spent a week visiting with our kids and grandkids on the other side of the state, we can do that because we don't have any real constraints as far as time and money goes, because we don't have to work full time anymore, because our cost of living is so drastically different. And so just wanted to throw that out there for you, give you some sort of the secrets to funding your project. Live in your RV. You can get a smaller RV than we've got by far. I mean, in fact, you can pick up a little RV for $1,200, $1,500, $2,500, whatever you want to spend. There's a price out there for everybody, and that way you cut your costs. You live in that temporarily while you're creating this house for yourself. Spend as much of your own time building this as you can. Learn more about it. I've got a plumbing DVD up. We've got a building program that we're creating about this so that you can follow along if you want to be in the Builders Developers course. We talk about all the things, putting in septic systems, putting in power, and putting in water, doing the foundation, the groundwork, the excavating, all the way up into the finished product of this house. So I'm making that available to you if you're interested. We're about ready to start the electrical on the house. We're going to be doing a lot of video for that as well, so you can see how that goes together. I'm saving myself literally tens of thousands of dollars to build this house. I'm making more money building my own house than if I was out working somewhere, and the savings of not having to make house payments or rent payments is tremendous, and it allows us basically to be retired already. And so I think it's a significant thing that you'd want to consider. Subscribe to this channel. Keep tabs on us. We're going to be putting up more videos. I'm going to start showing you some stuff about the electrical, and there you go. If you got any other questions or comments, fire away down below here, and I'll see you on the next video.